Hello, everyone. My name is Tima Rassool. I'm the PR and Communications Manager at Elevatus. I'll be moderating today's panel with these exceptional visionary leaders. I'd like to start with a quick description about Elevatus, or introduction about who I am and our company. Elevatus is a tech company. We provide award-winning recruiting solutions that automate the entire talent acquisition cycle, from creating job requisitions to onboarding new hires. Today, we have enterprise companies, middle to large companies from all across the globe leveraging our AI-powered solutions to hire, assess, and build the workforce of tomorrow. I have over 7 years of experience working in the realm of recruitment tech, and I have authored over 2,000 HR and tech-related blogs, which makes me so thrilled to be here today with these visionary leaders, where we will be discussing the impact of the future of work and how AI and automation is going to be revolutionizing it for us all today. So with that being said, I'd love to ask the panelists to introduce themselves, starting with Karim.
Yep, thanks. Well, my name is Karim Rabie. I'm a senior telco architect at Red Hat. Red Hat, for sure, is a software leader provider, cloud-based solution as well. My area of expertise is mainly on the telco sector, so over like 18 years, focusing on the automation and orchestration, and also I'm a member of multiple communities focusing on machine learning for future technologies and 5G. I'm really glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fatima, for this. This is Zoeb Adamali. I represent Yethi Consulting, and we have our own IP on a product on test automation. We do all things testing. Our primary focus being on the BFSI domain, but we are now started to work with a few OEMs as well. That's about it.
David Williams, Assistant Vice President of Hyperautomation at AT&T. We drive about $1 billion annual of operating income and a 4,000% ROI.
Hello, everyone. My name is Namita. I work for Mom's World, a mother and baby care e-commerce company. Last 17 years, I'm working into e-commerce only, particularly, and my expertise is using technology in process. So how I can automate the process. I work like a matchmaker between technology and the process, that how I can leverage the technology to enhance customer experience.
My name is Graeme Gates. I'm from Florida. My company is Giggo, LLC, and we connect contractors with residential and commercial jobs in real estate.
Hi, my name is Maximillian Fox, Skyfox Consulting. We work with medium to Fortune 1 companies to implement third-party software and custom solutions to help automate their business processes.
Amazing. I'd like to kickstart this panel with the basic question. Since we all come from different industries, I'd love to ask every one of you to give a quick description of how would you define intelligent automation based on your industry? Karim?
Okay, so automation has been there in the telco industry for a while. Most of the automation solutions are actually triggered or based on some policy engine. That policy engine is always governed with some scripting, some coding that tells the engine what to do. So for telco, intelligent automation is all about employment of the AI techniques and machine learning techniques and the RPA to the automation to have these kind of decisions taken and governed with artificial intelligence. There are really huge use cases. I think we will have like a big time to talk about it in the I would say next 20 minutes.
Well, I'll just try to keep it simple. So while automation was all about putting machine to work, everything that was human, intelligent automation is humanizing everything that is automated, right? Trying to add a human touch to it, whether it is decision making or calculation analysis, you call it, just making it intelligent enough from a human perspective.
I agree with Zoeb. I think that automation has been around for a long time. As we can add cognitive capabilities to it, so we can do some of the decisioning and determining, we get a higher throughput from that automation.
I think automation, in a word, is empowerment. So in the past, automation was about making repetitive tasks easier. I think in the future, automation is going to be about empowering people to do more with less. How can I let a designer iterate quicker on whatever content they need to be generating? How can I let a lawyer or attorney iterate quicker on an agreement to maybe create a better agreement for my client? How can I allow maybe a CFO to review more deals or financial solutions to get a better return on their money? And I think that's automation.
100%. I totally agree with Max. We're able to do so much more with less, and we're able to save so much time and productivity, which brings me to my next question that I'd love to ask David. David, how do you see intelligent automation increasing productivity and efficiency in the workplace? And if you don't mind giving some examples.
Sure. So I work in telecommunications for a company with maybe 100 million subscribers. There are some places in that process where we've used RPA to solve for customer issues, billing issues, and in doing so, we've been able to drive, tens of millions of dollars in savings annually. However, that's just linear automation, and it's really good, it's highly effective. However, taking a look at it to add intelligence to it, cognitive capabilities, we can send certain notifications and alerts to the sales teams, to the customers on different days at different times, worded in different ways so that they're more effective to drive an even higher throughput. In that specific example, we were able to go from 11% effectiveness to 15%, which was worth $36 million annually. And so that's one example of just adding cognitive capabilities without going too deep in the woods, but to provide a good example of how that works. Yeah.
100%.
Does this work? Okay, cool. Yeah, so I'd like to add on to that. AI for me, and it looks like for all of us, is about efficiency. Making those big, complex data points simple enough to make a decision. And that's really what it's all about.
Yeah.
And just like you, didn't you say 4,000% ROI?
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's amazing.
It's crazy. It is.
Yeah, and since I work in the recruitment sector, we've seen a massive reduction in the time to hire through, AI and automation. It takes on average 40 days to hire someone, and with our AI recruiting solutions at Elevatus, it takes you maybe a couple of days. You can assess thousands of candidates remotely from the comfort of your own couch, your favorite beanbag, in a couple of seconds, which is incredible because this is something we didn't have in the previous years. Which brings me to another question I'd love to ask Max. What skills do you think are necessary for us to foster, or for employees to foster, given the rise of AI and automation and the future of work?
So I think the two most important skills are going to be critical thinking and curiosity. Mm-hmm. I think AI, especially with large language models now like ChatGPT, brings us to a point where automation tools can do thinking for us, which is good, but it can also be a problem because we don't want to fall into the trap of not thinking anymore.
100%.
One of the pitfalls of those large language models that you may or may not be aware of is they sometimes, quote unquote, hallucinate. And so you might ask it a question that sounds right, but is actually wrong. And so, being able to critically analyze the answers you get and being curious enough to question the answers you get is going to be critical for anybody using these tools, because while you can do things faster, while you can iterate faster, you still need to be curious enough to question the answers you get. And I think that's important not just for AI, but for any answer we get, right? So I think critical thinking and curiosity are going to be two very important skills to have.
Amazing. Especially since with AI, we're always dealing with large complex data. So, since it takes over the manual tasks, it leaves us with these high-level tasks, and we need to analyze this data. So critical thinking, adaptability, flexibility, even emotional intelligence, these skills are incredibly important. And
if I can just add on that, I think the major shift on skills that has happened is earlier people were, or employees rather, were supposed to be able to provide answers.
Yeah.
Now the skill required is to be able to ask the question, right? Even if in context with ChatGPT, how good are you with your prompt to be able to do that? So I think the major shift is being able to give answers. No, I think what is now required is to be able to ask the right questions, basically, to get those answers. I think that's the shift.
Yeah, I agree. Max made a great point, and Zoeb as well, with the prompt engineers, I think is the term folks are using now. But analyzing the answer that comes from ChatGPT is a higher level skill.
100%.
And truthfully, across all industries with AI, that's what it's really driving across with our economies. It's just that there has to continue to be a continuous learning and evolution of whatever skills that we all have to take it to the next level, because the simpler ones will become repetitive and automated at some point.
spot on. Karim.
I also wanted to
Okay,
add
go ahead.
something here, because we were, I think in this room only, we were talking about that AI is taking away a lot of jobs. But at the same time, AI is also bringing in a lot of jobs. And new kind
100%.
of skills are needed for that. So I remember, I was not born that time, but my father tells me that when computers were launched, people were very scared that when the computers are here, they will take away the human jobs. But today what we see is computer has become like our right hand, a necessity in our lives. So we are not scared of computers anymore. But the environment that time was like that computer is going to take away the job of many people. But they were all redundant by now. Same thing is going to happen with AI also. We have to upgrade ourselves to adapt to the AI, and AI has to become like our lifestyle itself. So we don't have to get scared of AI that they are going to take away the jobs, but they are here. AI is here to make us more intelligent and more efficient in whatever I'm doing.
Yeah, thank you so much, Namita. It's not just about skills, it's also about business models. So, Karim, I'd like to ask you, since you work in the telecommunications industry, how do you think intelligent automation is transforming business models?
At the telco side, it's all about improving the operational model, enhancing the way the value is being delivered. So we have seen with the employment of the AI techniques, we can observe like some organizational KPIs in terms of the faster time to market. So this is one of the targets. From operational perspective, when you start to deploy the preventive maintenance, these kind of techniques, so this, for example, reduce the downtime is a very significant percentage. Telco is a little bit complicated. If enterprise has many domains, and AI has numerous use cases at each domain. For example, when you start to deploy AI in the radio side, when you talk about the self-optimized networks, so you don't need to get to manually troubleshoot the radio issues, the coverage issues. For example, when you start to deploy the chatbot supporting your customers, when you start to deploy the AI techniques in the digital channels, recommending solutions or doing upselling for the customers, so it fits to many segments, and it contributes heavily to the success of the organization. So it completely transforms the operational model from a manual, legacy, classic operational model to a modern, to agile, to adaptive one.
100%. Thank you so much. And Graeme, you also work in the telco industry. So do you have anything to add to that? Like, what do you think are the essential components and capabilities of AI, and how they can be used to execute business models?
Telecom?
Yeah.
I'm in real estate, I think.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I mean Daniel.
It's okay. Yeah, look, so I think that many business models are starting to get turned upside down. And the victors are those that are learning how to use AI to be a part of what it is that they're doing. And, I think that AI is a tool that if it is resisted, unfortunately, you're probably going to lose in whatever it is that you are doing because it is so effective. And so embracing it is the only way that you're going to actually be able to get to a place where you can realize a new business model that can be effective in whatever market you're participating in. We could take, you know, there's a hair salon in the U.S. That uses AI to schedule appointments. And so what this does is it helps to shift the load so that one salon isn't overloaded and another one is vacant. It does all these things, and because of that, they're one of the #1 hair salons. This is just beauty, where AI is being used in beauty, right? That goes for every other industry, and you can look cross-sectionally across a lot of different processes where if you're afraid or hesitant to use it, a competitor is gonna figure out how to use it. And you know, to your point, even in content writing, it's already an advantage. If you're not using it, you're kind of falling behind. You can't just solely use it, but you have to embrace
stay
it.
ahead, yeah. And Graeme, as the founder of Giggo.
I'll add on to that. Not in telecom, but it's all about delivering value. And you can deliver value with AI across all industries, whether it's content creating or telecom.
100%.
And just kind of building up on that, so it's all about being able to go to market quick, right? The quick go to market, and we at Yethi primarily enable banks basically to do that. So with the advent of digital transformation and all that, we would want to build in a lot of things, but we need to be able to test that and to be able to go to the market. So, you know, one of our products, Tangent, basically helps do that. You know, helps bank, empowers them to be able to go to market quickly within, you know, before your end competitor goes on over there. So.
100%. Namita, I have a question for you. What are the important things that AI and automation needs to work well to make businesses run smoothly in your sector?
So I am into e-commerce, and I have been working on technology since very long. I'm from the business side. I'm not an engineer, but I make the engineers work for me according to the business requirement. And what I have understood in so much of experience is that there are 3 very important factors, like a tripod, I would say, to develop something which is up and running, like conversational AI, which we use a lot in customer experience. We need data to be very clean, a good quality data. If you do not have the data collection correctly, then your algorithms will not work well. So first pillar is your data, which should be very clean and quality data. Second is your algorithms, the way you are developing the behavior. You are deciding the behavior of AI, how it should work. And the third very important part is integration. Because AI, whatever we are trying to build, cannot live in silos. So it has to produce results, it has to get integrated with your in-house systems. Like in e-commerce, we have the warehouse management system, the inventory management system, the order management system. We have the CRM. So this particular product or AI, with conversational AI or bot that I'm developing, has to be fully integrated and properly integrated with these 3 factors to produce the better results. So this is my learning, that whenever I start with any conversational bot that I have to develop, first thing I check is there the data correct? The quality of the data is there, or I have a lot of data garbage? Data garbage means that we are not collecting the data properly, or we are not storing it properly somewhere. So once we have everything, you will see that every bot works on data. One mistake in the data, and then your bot will go somewhere else. So this is what I think that is important when we are building something.
Yeah, I mean, like, data is everything when it comes to our lives nowadays, and this brings us to the critical thinking skills, the importance of even feeding the AI with data to get the results that we're looking for. You know, we have a recruitment software at Elevatus, and you can train the AI to filter or rank candidates based on the criteria that matters the most to you. So you have to feed it with the data. You know, what criteria are you looking for? And based on that, it will rank the candidates in order of qualification, and it will help improve your decision making. And bringing back to our initial point, it will not, do the decisions for you. It will help improve your decision making. And with that being said, I'd love to ask Graeme, who's the founder of Giggo and works in the real estate sector, what are the essential components, capabilities required for AI automation to effectively execute proficient business operations in the future for real estate?
Well, I think we touched on it briefly, is being able to deal with messy data sets. But secondarily, I would say it needs, in my industry, it needs to be able to see. It needs to be able to touch in some cases. For example, everybody here, or a lot of people here, have refrigerators. And the AI that we're working on right now is, if you take a picture of your refrigerator, it's broken. We'd be able to tell exactly what needs to be fixed, what parts, and you'd be able to do it yourself. And I think that's what's lacking in the AI conversation right now. How do everyday people use AI as a tool?
Yeah.
You know, everybody's got a toolbox in their garage, but how many times do you go in there? You know, you always call somebody. But the AI that we're working on will be your omni tool in your back pocket, whereas you'll be able to do way more for yourself, which is contrary to a lot of the conversation about AI, which I think AI should be able to help people be people and do things for themselves.
Yeah, and I think that incredibly boosts, satisfaction, productivity. And I'd love to ask Max, how do you think that, intelligent automation can actually improve employee engagement in the workplace and job satisfaction?
Where to start? I think allowing people to do more is really where it will shine. One of the projects we're working on is implementing AI at a larger company to allow designers to iterate quicker on digital content. However, that's just one part of it, because one of the concerns that the company has is, one, what is happening to our data when we're sending it to this third party, right? So maybe developing a more personalized, for that company, large language model is something we're looking at. The other thing that they're concerned about is legal concerns and also basically duplicate content. If everybody's using the same AI or automation tool, if we put out an ad, is our competitor going to have the exact same thing, right? And then we all have egg all over our face. The other one is legal concerns. And so I think that there's an opportunity for AI to consolidate some of that analysis in one place. Instead of having to go to 2, 3, 4 different departments to get legal approval, maybe VP approval, et cetera, I can almost get pre-approval from an AI, right? And that's going to help employee engagement because I can now do my job quicker.
100%.
Right? I can focus on the things that I like to do as a designer, as a copywriter, instead of the administrative things, which are important, but
they take time.
Give overhead, so I think it's going to allow people to focus on what they really love doing, which is that difficult creative work, and less on the administrative work.
Mundane, tedious
while
work.
still protecting the organization.
Yeah.
I'll put on my IP lawyer hat for a second. And AI, if you're talking about like ChatGPT and similar language models, it's not there yet for law. And there's been cases where lawyers have overly relied on ChatGPT and gotten burned. So I think AI is 60% there in terms of law. It's definitely passed the bar in so many states, but when it comes down to business practice, there's a significant chance, a material chance you could get burned.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that goes back to that critical thinking skill that you need, right? I like to think of most AI as a really, really smart intern. So if I was a lawyer, more of a software engineer, but if I have a intern writing code or maybe putting together a contract, I'm going to review it, right? I can't just say, oh, it's done, and then give it to the client. So I'm not surprised it's not completely there yet with law, but I like to think of it as an intern. You're still going to want to critically analyze that work product and give it the once over.
Amazing. So speaking of ethical considerations, my next question is for Zoeb. What do you think are some ethical considerations that companies need to take into mind when it comes to intelligent automation, AI, ChatGPT?
I think first thing is just picking up from what Max said, right? To be able to use AI as an intelligent intern, right? Because everybody has access to AI already, everybody is able to use that. So being able to use it ethically, not just doing a Control-C, Control-V kind of a job, to our customers as well, as in we owe that, right? Ethically, the easiest way for us to do is, go to ChatGPT, be able to do that and extract that across. But to be able to add value, I think ethically, you should be able to use AI or any intelligent automation tool to be able to support or add value to what we are doing for the customer.
Yeah.
So us as your testing partners, I should not be able to kind of build up test scenarios from there and do that, but able to, number one, employ the right people who are going to be able to review this smart intern to be able to add value. Plus, nothing can beat experience, right? Nothing can beat hands-on experience or be able to do that. And we were just having a conversation before a panel, right, where there was a meme that I saw wherein on a building in UK, it was written, it was a half-made constructed building. It was said, ChatGPT, can you complete this for me, right? So still there are a lot of things that need a human element to be done. So I think being able to do your job ethically, I think, as even for an organization, I think that should be the key to it.
100%.
If I could add one point, I think also to make sure that we don't break any ethical boundaries, we need to make sure that there's a diverse input. We need to have perspectives from women, from men, from every genre around the world, so that we have the diverse perspectives so that the AI can get trained to be better than a really good intern.
That's exactly right. I've run across that in law with AI facial recognition. And the one that we were working with, it was only trained on Caucasian males and Caucasian females. And so when it went to analyze faces like ours, it was not that accurate. So we had to go through legal and do the whole process of vetting and stuff like that, and that's where ethics comes into it. And if you're using AI to analyze and deal with people, should be required that it be trained on the diversity of the human population.
Great, thank you. And David, I want to elaborate on your answer. How do you envision the future of work? Given the rise of intelligent automation, ChatGPT, and your experience at AT&T.
Sure. So, technology is a tool that we've all come to love, and automation is something that's made our lives a lot easier. I think as we continue down this path, and a lot of curious and high-skilled talent start to come together, they're going to want to pick where they live. They're going to want to find out, do the things that are important to them. And so I believe that the future of the economy and the state of the world and so forth, as intelligent automation plays into it, is that we have to stay continuously learning. I think that the skills that we have today are fine, but if we don't continue to move forward, it's going to actually make us more obsolete.
Yeah.
And that's just a reality, right? We all used to carry calculators and alarm clocks in our luggage when we traveled. We don't anymore. An iPhone and Android is everything that we need. And just as much as we evolved that part of thinking in our lives, same goes for the rest of it. Mm-hmm. And that part is what we can't resist. Those that embrace that will do well, right? At whatever pace, because the world is learning. Sure, ChatGPT, AI, all these things are moving fast, but the world is trying to embrace it, and it's hard to move fast. Yeah. And so it's moving. And so the good news is that you still have time to get on the train and be a part of the future. Or if you resist, we'll send you a postcard. Yeah.
And I think it's just so important. The market is evolving, the world is evolving, and we all need to be adaptable. We all need to be, we need to be agile. We need to move fast with the market, because or else we'll just be left behind. And this brings me to a very important question: is Karim, how accessible, is AI and automation for small businesses? Like, we know all enterprises are jumping straight on to, adopt it and leverage it. But what about small businesses? What are your thoughts on that?
Sure, but I would like first to comment on the future from technology perspective. Yeah. Because also I'm working on some efforts on the standardization of the 6G, which is the next generation in the mobile. So the technology is evolving. Currently, the AI is maybe some sort of solution, products that provide some AI capabilities to the mobile network, for example. 6G is thought to be an AI native network. So the technology is like, will reach a stage, will it be like natively there in all components, in all network devices, in the communication between the nodes. So the technology is evolving, and even from skill set perspectives, people working on the technology or the technical whatever domain, we need to adapt, as you said. So we need to adapt, and I would say in the technology sector, each 3 or 4 years, you need to do some sort of rebooting to your skills and try to ramp up with what's happening. So I just wanted to comment on that from technology perspective. For the SMEs, and it is thought that SMEs are like the catalyst for the nation's economy, right? Basically, we're talking about two things: the right to get the technology, the tools, the AI technology itself, and the right to get the data. Okay, so the good thing about the AI technology in general, that it's not limited just for a sole provider or a certain technology provider. It is somehow available. It's a community-based technology. So there are many open source solutions, and even with the rise of cloud-based solutions, you can get AI tools to help you in your enterprise as a service. Like, you can get it from many providers. And it happens for me. I have a personal experience. I have recently established my startup here in Dubai. So I was looking for both, for the technology and for the data sets. So technology are there. There are a lot of solutions that can bring the AI, the RPA to your workflows, to your enterprises with a real low cost. The second thing here, for example, in Dubai, they avail what they call the data marketplace. So you have a data set marketplace that is actually there to help the SMEs and the startups, to use this data to go for innovative solution and to build the logic based on it. So I say there is a good potential for SMEs to start to write to AI because of the existence and the availability of the tools and the data as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's so important to emphasize that AI should be for all. Even the small businesses. We see so many economies relying on small businesses, medium businesses, and I think it's so important to empower them through AI and automation to sustain the global economy. My next question is for Graeme. Do you have something to add to that?
I have a quick addition to what David was saying. You talked about how people might get left behind. And I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, and in the city, there's somewhere between 10 and 20% of kids don't have regular access to the internet. And that's the case across a lot of cities in the US. And my question is how do you think we can bring them into the fold in terms of AI and maybe internet generally, but AI specifically for this conversation?
Sure. So try to give a short answer. I spend a lot of time in underserved communities in the States and also around the world, India, Israel, et cetera, villages, orphanages, et cetera, trying to help children embrace and adopt technologies, solar robot workshops, and so forth and so forth. I think that the way this problem gets solved, because it is a problem, the digital divide, there is no one silver bullet to do it. Everyone in this room is a leader in technology, and everyone has to take the responsibility to help your own community, tribe, village, whatever you like to call it. We all have to take some responsibility in doing so. We can look to large groups, enterprises, governments, et cetera, and AT&T, we're very philanthropic. We do a whole lot in the community. We do connected learning centers that we build for underserved communities so that they can have access to the internet, ChatGPT, et cetera. We also give classes to try to close the success divide, because just because you have internet doesn't mean you have success-minded mindsets. And so we try to solve for those things as well, but it's not enough. AT&T spends several $1 billion doing this. It's not enough. And because of that, I think that the responsibility falls even more squarely upon the shoulders of leaders in this room and elsewise to take the responsibility to go do something, because we know how severe it is. And to just sit and watch it on the TV and turn it off and go eat, that's not enough. You know it's a serious thing. We have to go do something.
Thank you so much, David. Namita, I have a question for you. So we all know that many of us, many humans, they prefer to interact with humans rather than bots, especially when it comes to customer service. How important do you think is to get feedback from customers from their usage of these bots?
I think this is the most important thing that we have to depend on. So I work in customer experience, and I use technology to improve the customer experience overall. So for me, this is like my blood. That will keep the bot moving, which is a conversational AI bot, which keeps on moving based on the inputs that I get from the customer. So I have to take care of customer frustration. I have to take care of customer feedback at the same time. How many times customer says that no, bot has not solved my problem? Or if a customer is giving me a bad NPS, or in CSAT they are writing that we are not happy with the resolution what bot has given us. So we have to be flexible enough, our bot has to be agile enough that we meet the customer expectations, because whatever we are trying to do is to achieve a better customer experience. And if we do not take care of the feedback at the same time and do not make our bot more intelligent, do not involve the agents more wherever the customer is looking for a resolution, then we are not doing justice to our role also.
Yeah. Even the human aspect, I think a lot of chatbots, it misses that. A lot of people, they want the human factor. They want to feel like they're interacting with a human, not just, getting a monotonous response.
Right. So I think it needs a lot of hard work to get into what exactly customer is looking for. If it is only just about a transaction, how-to kind of things, we know that bot can help there. But when it comes to frustration, where customer has not received their order or received something which has a bad quality, and I make the customer to talk to a bot, I will destroy the customer experience completely. So I have to be more smarter when I'm deploying the bots, while I understand that I should be using the technology, but this technology is not to add on the frustration of a customer. So how to make the customers happy or make their life, because what you see in the numbers also, 83% of the customers today prefer self-service. So you imagine by yourself that when you go in airlines, you take a flight, how many times you want to talk to an agent while booking a seat? You don't. You prefer to use the self-service option where I book my tickets, I choose my flight, I choose my seats, I choose my meal, and then I fly. So I don't want to talk to agent in that case. However, if my flight is suddenly cancelled, what will I do? I want to talk to an agent that time, and you put me to a bot, that will add my frustration. So that is how I think it is important to ensure that whatever the way we are trying to use the bots or the technology to make the customers happy, has to meet the objective of making the customer happy, not just saving the cost for us.
So true.
One quick point, Namita, is that I agree with you 1,000%. We even, in the States, would slow down the response from the bot, so it had more of a human appeal.
Beautiful.
And just kind of adding on to what Namita said, right? The idea is to humanize it. And still being in old school, I wouldn't say that I wouldn't want to talk to a bot, but it should not be the only thing. And being out of experience with a few banks in this region and few telecom, that's the only be all that is there, right? Chatbot is supposed to facilitate to be able to, for you to be able to add value to it. And as you rightly said, right, since 80% of people do believe in having self-service done, but there is a remaining 20%, right? And there is a reason why that 20% is still there. So while, yes, SMEs or companies should engage and have chatbots or use, intelligent automation to be able to support that conversation, but there should always be an opportunity to have that human connect.
So, Zoeb, to elaborate on your answer, I think before we wrap up this panel and open the floor for questions, how do you think, intelligent automation will impact business continuity and resilience in the future?
It will, and I think, it's an interesting use case, right? Wherever there is an issue, the business continuity, it's not about if it will happen. It's all about when will it happen, right?
Yeah.
That's one shift in the mind space that needs to happen. We look at business continuity that if this happens, no. it will happen. When will it happen? And that's when you will be able to use intelligent automation, like, have chatbots or anything, RPA, any medium or any tool that you want to use to be able to service the customer, to be able to engage with the customer, both internal and external. And when we talk about customer, it's not only people who bring in my dollar value, but people who support me in getting that dollar value also need to be catered to, right? That goes to your employer as well. So I think it's a very critical tool, and that needs to be engaged to be able to service them.
Amazing. Thank you guys so much. It's been a really amazing conversation, and your insights have been really invaluable. I'd like to open the floor for any questions. Does anyone have any questions for the panelists? Yeah.
Thank you. Hi. So we've talked about how important it is to adapt instead of resisting AI. David was mentioning that. I think because we're industry leaders here, we also play a role in leadership for AI. And we have to tell the regulators and the inventors what we want. What are the avenues that you see or foresee that we can use to influence them and to shape AI so that the technology works for our advantage and it doesn't, work and get out of control? A colleague of ours was asking that question before as well. So how can we make AI work for our advantage and control it from bottom-up approach?
One quick point I'll just say is I think, when we speak with our right to vote, it matters to regulators. And so as we, write and communicate with our elected officials, telling them the things that are important to us, I think as that starts to translate into votes at the ballot, I think that the regulators will start to take it serious and appreciate the concern that the community is starting to share in regards to having, and it's a real concern, having diversity and equity across artificial intelligence. It is our new best friend, but we need our new best friend to be equitable with this, right?
That's true.
Yeah, I have a favorite comedian, and he has a bit where he says, everybody has a little piece of the truth. And I think that's, a great sentiment to have with AI, because it's true. As I've been privileged enough to travel the world, meet different people from different backgrounds, everybody has something to teach you. And if they can teach you or me something, then they can definitely teach AI something, right? If we want a good tool or a good best friend, we need to make sure that it has the opportunity to learn from everybody, because nobody wants a dumb best friend. So I think that's going to be essential to the future of AI. We need to make sure that there is diversity, there is inclusion, so that our AI best friend is as smart as it can be and empowers us as much as it can.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Self-regulation. Technology and the courts don't get along. The courts, the law, are years and years, maybe decades behind the times.
Yeah.
So it's up to us to teach it the right things, use it in the right way, and at the end of the day, that means self-regulate.
100%.
So from a control perspective, and just building on what Graeme said, right, the onus lies on us. I'm not sure if there are people who would understand the full quantum of impact that AI has to bring in from a technology perspective purely, but because we are given to understand that it learns, and it learns from the inputs that we give it to him, it's upon us to be able to teach the right to the wrong. And I'm not sure, will we be able to teach morality to AI? But that being said, we can at least teach him in binary between a yes and a no, right? And then hope for our laws or our regulations to come up to curve, and as you rightly said, we are decades behind where we are supposed to be. So we hope that they come up to the curve and be able to regulate that.
Amazing.
I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much.
Does anybody else have a question? Yeah.
Andreas, I think I still have a question about that water system that you were talking about earlier, man.
My learning is, as your panel is on automation also, and you all speak about how to use AI and software-based decisions, is that a software-based decision is as good as the data is, and the data comes with, for us in technical system, is a confidence level. So we measure confidence level on what's the data, what's the sensor data getting in, what's the confidence of the core data that's the database, and what's the confidence level of the AI model that you actually have. Like when it comes to regulation and when it comes like to self-automated driving and things like this, it's about to understand what actually is the confidence level on the model and the data. So how you deal in your kind of industries and models with the confidence level of information and the models itself.
Okay, I think I can comment on that from like a telco perspective. What we are trying to do in the telco that we mainly work in consortiums, like we work in groups. We try to make some, like, for example, mobile operators can do some sort of consortiums and they can do the same experiment in different environments, and then somehow they issue some sort of a reference summary or reference report that states what are the observations and what is the target that we want to achieve. But what you said, actually, it's very challenging in telecom because currently we face a huge challenge while procuring such solutions, because we cannot guarantee, I mean, the supplier or even our developer, they cannot guarantee the what kind of accuracy or the confidence level. And it actually, yeah, it's a gap that we have, because now we need just to test, to iterate. We need to replicate the test across multiple operators or multiple groups, and then we all agree on some sort of a report that states the target confidence level. Other things that we try to do is actually to, currently there are global initiatives. For example, AI in radio in optimizing networks for 4G. It's a fixed use case. So we do this use case on a global level, for example, sponsored by one of the standard bodies. And we go into a POC. We go, most of the operators, most of the contributors and the vendors, and then we agree on a certain threshold or certain target. And then we try now to replicate to our networks. So it's a try and error. It's a continuous experiment. This is actually what we are doing in the telco sector.
It also might be an area of job growth. I mean, we're talking about, AI replacing jobs. This looks like a new area for job growth in that confidence monitoring.
Amazing. I think we have some more time for one more question.
Yeah, I can give you the microphone, but I also have a question. But
just to address the accuracy and the model accuracies, again, I think there is a general trend currently which is related to model ops, and this is something that majority of the enterprises are considering. And the reason is even the models themselves, the accuracy can change with the change of the data and with the change of the circumstances. Yeah. So there is nothing fixed. And that's why the importance of considering always in enterprises the deployment and of model operations, which is something that is becoming part of the integral part of the model development itself, to make sure that the target accuracy is always achieved, and whenever there is a change, this change is alerted in a way or another. This is from one angle, in addition to the other angles that maybe some of our colleagues here are going to talk about it in the coming days. I wanted to highlight one.
Amazing. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, Thanks for the clarification. What I was referring to that in the telco, because usually we procure solutions or we get a committed SLAs from the suppliers. So this is one of the challenges that we are facing when we deploy AI-based solutions that, as you said, it is changing, it is variable. So that's a challenge. We don't know how commercially to deal with that. For example, I'm contracting you to give me a managed services with a percentage of a downtime, a percentage of a certain like outages across the year. But if you pipe or if you hand over that to an AI-based solution that takes care of the maintenance, for example, or takes care of the optimization, by the end of the year, if it didn't fulfill the KPIs, then how do I pay like your fees, right? Because you didn't commit to the KPIs. So it's a little bit challenging now how actually to procure, how to deploy an AI solution or AI-based solution in a telco environment.
I think this is actually something I'm really excited about. But people are very excited about large language models now, but people are starting to talk about more personalized language models. And I think that's going to be the future because lots of companies have lots of different data. And what the data really boils down to is a perspective, right? The company has experiences throughout its history, and so they have opinions and frameworks for dealing with things, and that comes from the data that they've accumulated. I think in the future what we're going to see is the democratization of models. That democratization is going to look something like what we've seen with servers, where instead of having to rely on a maybe public or widely available language model or other AI model, you're going to be able to more easily upload your company's data, emails, documents, et cetera, to a model to train it, to have your company's perspective. I think that's really exciting because for a lot of companies, that's going to shine a light on maybe some assumptions that they've made that may not necessarily be correct because of changing environments, because of, in some cases, bad data. I think we're going to see a world where perspectives are essentially monetized because some people are right, some people are wrong, but everybody has a piece of the truth. And I think companies are going to become smarter because they're going to be able to train a model on their data, and they're going to be able to see if their data is actually right. I think it's going to be really exciting.
Amazing. I'd like to thank everyone. So, as you can tell, today's panel has been so fruitful. We saw how, intelligent automation is impacting all of our industries. And does anyone else have anything to add before we wrap up the panel?
I have one final comment. It's Father's Day weekend, and so for those that celebrate, Happy Father's Day. Today is my birthday, and so I'm definitely going to celebrate.
Do we have time for one more question?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right.
Fits it into the schedule. It's a very short one, but I'm totally 100% having the same opinion than you on the stage, that AI should be our new best friend. Yeah. And even the part with the self-regulation, I'm 100% the same meaning. But in our region, I'm already invited to the first discussions in regards to regulation, because especially in our region, the call for regulation is still very huge. And I would like to ask you, what, from your perspective, would be the key arguments against that, making self-regulation possible throughout the whole world? Because my biggest fear is different regulation parts through the globe. For instance, in the United States, it would be self-regulated. For us in Germany, it would be not. And that's the reason why I'm just call for help. What your biggest key arguments would be in regards to that?
So if I'm understanding correctly, you're talking about a unified standard for AI, which I don't think is possible simply because of the diversity of people and perspectives in the world. I think that each country, each people should have its own standard with some general commonality. I think commonality is really the proof, the evidence we need to move forward, because if everybody's moving on different speeds, things are going to get a little wonky, right? So I I still come back to self-regulation, because look at all of us in this room. We're all speaking on this panel, we're all listening. There's gonna be commonality that comes out of this. Yeah. There's common things that we fear, common things that we know AI should not do. And if we continue on this path that we're on, we're going to find that self-regulation and some kind of universal standard for AI. I think it'll be more organic than regulation, say like in Germany or the Wild West, like in the US.
Yeah, amazing.
So I may have a slightly different opinion, because to put a regulation for something or a code of conduct, you need to reach a certain level of knowledge, right, and experience, which we don't have currently, especially in some parts of the world, right? After 2 weeks, I have one event with the ITU, the International Telecommunications Union. They work under the UN. Okay, I believe that there should be some work done from top down, coming from the ITU, coming from the UN itself. Just have a general, I would say, I'm sorry, yeah, just general guideline where each country can just take it and then start to tailor it. But there should be some guidance, because there are some countries and some communities, they will actually strive to get the knowledge itself. So they are not entitled to put regulations. So this is just my point, that there should be something coming as a guideline from the UN at least.
Yeah, so just to kind of build up on what Karim says, right, there could be a standard framework or a methodology that can be put in place, but it cannot be a one-size-fit-all kind of an approach. It has to be more centered around what a particular country is trying to achieve or what their key focuses are. Yeah? So it would vary from country to country. As Max said, right, even the data sets there could be a personalized data set, because it would vary from organization to organization. And then when you take it at a country level, having a standard set of regulation would not fly. But yeah, a standard guideline or a methodology or a framework put in place around which the regulations can be focused.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you.
Last thing I'll say on this is that we need the problems that we face today. The pandemic proved to us that the problems we face cannot be solved in just one room. We're more connected than ever.
Yeah.
And a great idea in Tanzania needs to make it to the UN. A great idea in the US needs to make it to the UN. We need to be able to leverage that type of diversity. And the power of that, I think, it's exponential, because 1 and 1 is 11. You just got to get them close enough together. And so I think as the world continues to get smaller, as TikTok has shown us, the world continues to get smaller, we need to be able to pool all of these great ideas, these things that are we concerned about from a regulatory perspective, so that together we can have that commonality and a universal approach to some degree as well. We need a bit of both. I don't think it's one or the other, it's and.
There's definitely a symbiotic relationship between regulation and organic growth. I personally don't think that the law or regulation will catch up in time. So I think that organically it will be first. And that's why we're here. That's what we need to focus on.
Amazing.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
So while we were talking about, and the questions were coming from a gentleman who was from Germany, he was actually doing some kind of speaking before this particular session. So he stopped at one of the slides and he was talking about risk management, right, in information security management system. So for him who was asking the question, as well as for everyone's benefit, whenever you are going for any kind of a project where you see some kind of, questions coming up, you always do your risk analysis first. And in the cases of artificial intelligence, or in the cases of SON, when you're talking about optimizing networks, or when you're talking about self-healing capabilities, which a lot of many organizations which nowadays are coming up with softwares or different kind of technology being used to go ahead and make sure servicing different particular parts of any particular organization. So in such cases, when you do your risk analysis, you always go ahead and see that the self-healing capabilities are going to go till a certain level where they will not go ahead and replace you first. They can replace, but they will not go ahead and take that kind of learning, which is a self-learning model, what you're talking about, and then stop things for you, rather than supporting you. This is what is the major risk, which I always go ahead and put when I work on any of the artificial intelligence, projects, or when I was working on a SON project in one of the major telcos in Indian region, which was Geo Platforms Limited. So I believe this is very important for us. Whenever we take any particular project, our risk management and our risk, threat and vulnerability related topology, what we go ahead and talk about. So we need to go ahead and look at it that till what extent do we want to go ahead and give the control. That is where you will talk about regulations. That is where we talk about standardization. That is where we talk about ISO coming up with some kind of standards, or maybe BSI coming out with some kind of standards. This is right.
Thank you. Does anyone has any last questions? Yeah.
Back to the question asked, are we talking about standards of computation or standards of privacy? Back to you. Yes. The standard of
yeah. Can you speak up a little bit?
The standard of the computations, or is about the standard of privacy laws, let's say. Just a moment. Your question was about regarding the standards, the governments on the AI models, right? Your question was regarding the AI models, governments, correct? Yes, yes. So the regulation, how they apply to the computation or the privacy? Which one? Computation of how the model is being made, done, how it's being working, or the privacy of the information coming in.
About the privacy, this is their fear. Yes.
That's one. That's all.
All right. I'd like to thank everyone today for joining us for this amazing conversation. I'd like to thank the panelists, and as we can all see, the future of work is here, and it's impacting all of our industries, and it's really revolutionizing the way we work. So thank you, everyone, and thank you, Internet 2.0, for having us.